Hello everyone and welcome to my patch 0.19 review. I have to be honest with you all, after first 2 or 3 days of playing I really thought my review on this patch will be negative. My opinion changed after playing some more. My biggest mistake was that I treated this patch as a finished Balance 2.0 patch. I was wrong, because patch 0.19 are only first steps towards Balance 2.0. So with that out of the way, let's talk about patch 0.19. I will start with, in my opinion, the best feature in this patch, and that's compensation system and progression reset. I will not go too deep into the details. I already made a video about progression reset. Link to that will be in the description in case you would like to see it. Next we move to dealers. Dealers now are changed. There's been tier shifting, over 20 new progression vehicles and even dealer shifting as well. For example, all artillery class is now moved to one dealer only and is restricted to PvE only. Is that a good or a bad thing? Well, it's up to you to judge. For me, it's a good thing since I'm generally a PvP player. I no longer need to worry about indirect fire from artillery. I don't think artillery in Armored Warfare was overpowered or anything, but it needed some change apparently. And while developers are deciding what to do with it, it will stay restricted for PvE only. That's not all. Centauro 155 now is a new tier 10 artillery. It's quite fun to use in PvE, but I don't see, at least myself, using it for too long. It's just sometimes fun to use that big derp gun. Speaking of artillery, it's been removed from PvE as AI controlled vehicle, which is really a positive thing for most players. In 0.18 AI controlled artillery was really annoying. Patch 0.19 really is a big change to gameplay. As an example, there has been overall accuracy nerf. That was a main reason why I hated update at first. Simply it didn't feel the same, but what I noticed later was that moving accuracy has been greatly improved and now shooting on the move is much more satisfying than it was before. The game really is changed. I haven't seen any vehicle that would be the same as it was back in November when I still played. Most of the vehicles I tried now and owned back then when I still played now feels much better than it did then. As a quick example, RDF and Expeditionary Tank, both tier 6 light tanks, now have smoke grenades, are more mobile, have a decent view range and because of new armor change can actually bounce AP shells from frontal upper plate. Yes, that's right, armor in this patch has been changed and side scraping now is a thing. Commanders and retrofits also have seen big changes. Commanders now seem to be more similar to each other. As a quick example, Rashid, which I used to think was the worst commander, now is perfectly suited in vehicles where main focus is to fire ATGMs. I probably wouldn't use him in vehicles like BMD-2M, but I think he's greatly suited for vehicles like Diesel Hut, for example, where ATGMs are the only ammo it fires. The biggest change that I noticed from retrofits are first of all the price. It doesn't change now depending on the tier, it's constant for every vehicle in the game. And I also noticed that the most used retrofits that added more hit points to the vehicles are gone too. We have incoming damage reduction as replacement. Another very positive change is that all retrofit slots now are universal, which means that you no longer have to use mobility retrofits for main battle tanks, for example. One issue that I noticed is that if I use retrofits like reduced aim time or increased overall accuracy, for some reason it doesn't seem to change when I check vehicles info, which makes me think that those retrofits doesn't work or information panel is not working as intended. Different story is reload time and view range retrofits. Those ones in vehicle affects vehicles info immediately. Update 0.19 also introduces first Balance 2.0 steps, and you have to keep in mind that those are first steps only. Even after upcoming update, Balance will be far from finished. Yes, currently there are some issues with Balance, and I guess that's normal even after so many tests. MBT seems to be stronger than any other class right now, but that's really not the case. I think that light tanks are also really strong now, and I believe it's second strongest class at the moment. Tank destroyers seem to be quite bad now, but not unplayable. I can say for a fact that they will get some love in upcoming patch and will be really fun to play, especially LAV 600 tier 6 tank destroyer. If you don't own one already, go and get it and prepare it for next patch. AFVs also seems to be a little too weak now, but if I remember how powerful they were in patch 0.18, I knew the change will come. It's not impossible to play AFVs anymore, it's just much harder, like it was with light tanks before. PvE also seen some changes in this update, like EI now can fire ATGMs. The biggest complaint I've seen about that is that they tend to be laser accurate and damage your vehicle's modules every single time. Well, it probably depends on vehicle. Like for example, Abrams vehicles that always had issues with turret ring and engine obviously will be affected by this a lot. But I noticed that for T-series vehicles, for example, things doesn't look that bad. There's also been some change to secondary objectives in some missions like Leviathan, for example. You no longer need to cap secondary objectives. Also, secondary objectives now appear different in minimap, what I believe is also a positive change, and players can easier separate main objectives from secondary objectives. Patch 0.19 also introduces two new PvE missions, Raiding Party and Watchdog. I've been only lucky enough so far to play both missions on medium difficulty, and for me it's hard to say how hard these missions are on hard mode. But Watchdog, for example, I even enjoy on medium difficulty. I really like how this mission is designed, and for the first time I also like how EI spawns in this mission. Even if you are a PvP player, I think you might enjoy Watchdog mission. Just a quick tip, don't try to drive over the bridge after finishing first objective. PvP and global operations also got one new map each. For PvP, Chemical Plant, and for global operations, Barren Divide. Unfortunately, I can't show you or comment on any of these maps. Global operations, well, I guess people forgot about it existing. And I haven't been lucky enough to get any game on Chemical Plant. There's another fun PvP change, Skirmish feature. I was lucky enough to play some skirmish games 5 vs 5 and 4 vs 4, and I have to say I really enjoyed those battles. Skirmish battles happens on 4 smaller PvP maps and normally takes less time for match to end. It also feels more relaxing than 15 vs 15 games. For those who are wondering, skirmish progress counts as normal PvP progress in Dossier. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot, ramming now is a thing, and I really enjoy how it works. Now, especially in PvE, I had games where because of new moving accuracy and ramming damage, I never stopped in my MBT and had so much fun ramming other vehicles. Ramming damage is huge, especially when you are in MBT. I've seen already complaints about how much damage ramming does now, and all I can say is this. If you are in a lightly armored vehicle and get rammed by MBT, you must be doing something wrong. Yes, there's been a mobility change and main battle tanks seem to be more mobile now, but well, those of you who think that T-80 can outrun Fox, well, think again. There's also some issues with falling damage, but I haven't experienced that myself, so it's hard for me to comment on that, other than saying that it's been pointed out. And that's about it. I could sit here for over 30 minutes and read you patch notes or talk about every change that every vehicle had in this update, but I see no point in it, other than wasting your time. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoy new changes to the game as much as I do.